Grand Theft Auto is one of the biggest and best games to ever be released in the history of, well, ever. But do you know the story, the heart and blood, what makes it bleed? Well, today in this video, I'm going to go over the history of GTA. Welcome back to Game Fountain. Let's get into the video. Grand Theft Auto, 1997. Originally titled Race and Chase and intended for release on the Nintendo 64 and Sega Saturn, the entire game was reimagined, pushed back to then next generation system, and an evil star was born. Quite different from the games we play now, as the top-down view will testify to, but the violence and awesome radio stations were there from the very start.
Stole cars in order to complete objectives. It was condemned for its violence in a few countries, including the UK and France, and was even banned outright in Brazil.
Grand Theft Auto London, 1969, 1999. More of an expansion pack than a standalone game. This put players in the middle of London at the end of the swinging 60s. With references to the likes of James Bond, the Cray twins, and Quadrophenia. There was another expansion pack, London 1961, released later in 1999, which was really just more of the same. Grand Theft Auto 2, 1999. After spending some time in the past, GTA 2 is set in an odd retro-futuristic world, which is supposedly the year 2013. How fitting. What didn't change much were the old world graphics, so while the world of GTA felt like it was progressing, the game itself felt like it was standing still. Grand Theft Auto 3, 2001. Realizing it was time to shake things up a bit, out went the outdated graphics and top-down viewing system, and in came the 3D visuals and fully immersive world. This is pretty much the proper starting block for every GTA game that has come since, and at the time, was one of the most groundbreaking video games ever made. Even today, its playability is almost beyond comparison.
Did you see what that guy did?
Grand Theft Auto Vice City, 2002. Though not all that different from GTA 3, except for the jump back from 2001 to a 1986 setting, this is possibly the game that received the most negative publicity upon release. One of the missions within the game involved hiring and using a prostitute, which the Australian government demanded be removed or the game would be banned in their country. Aside from that, it was business as usual, brilliant game, though hardly a giant leap forward. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, 2004. Unlike Liberty City and Vice City, which were deemed to be singular municipalities, the setting of the latest Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is considered an entire state, based roughly on California. The game actually includes 3 different cities. Players start the game off in the ghetto of Los Santos, Los Angeles, and eventually make their way into San Fierro, San Francisco, and Las Venturas. Each city in San Andreas includes easily recognizable landmarks inspired by the real-life cities in which they're based. You'll see monuments resembling the Watts Towers in Los Santos, major bridges in San Fierro, and lavish casinos lining the strip in Las Venturas. The time period is the early 1990s, so the game takes a lot of its plot clues from gangster movies of the same era, like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society. You'll take the role of Carl C.J. Johnson, a young man who had been living in Liberty City for 5 years to escape the gangbanging lifestyle he grew up in with Los Santos. The game starts off with CJ arriving back in Los Santos just after the mysterious death of his mother. Before long, you're picked up by a corrupt Los Santos police officer and blackmailed back into gang activity. Eventually, you'll build up the influence your old gang had, the Grove Street families, back up to its previous level and beyond. Like the previous games, you'll do this by taking on missions from a variety of different people. These missions range from doing drive-bys on rival gangs, to stealing weapons from local military bases, to bouncing with the Latino gangs in a hydraulic-powered lowrider. The range of different things you get into is even wider in San Andreas than it was in previous games. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, 2005. There was a Game Boy Advance only GTA called, rightly enough, Grand Theft Auto Advance, which was then followed up by these 2 entries into the GTA series, which basically just use the exact same format as GTA San Andreas, but to less reinvigorating effect. While neither of the games can be considered even close to bad, they both just seem like blatant cash-ins on all the good work put in by San Andreas.
Any son. Your mother is a lucky woman.
So I hear.
Anthony, it's over for guys like us. We're dinosaurs. We're dull.
Grand Theft Auto 4, 2008. With the first of the GTA games on the current, but not for too much longer, generation of consoles, along came massively improved graphics, massively increased cities to play around, and the kind of plot that most series on HBO would strangle with their mothers for. Once again, the makers of Grand Theft Auto have delivered yet another one of the greatest games of all time, which is really quite a thing when you think about it. Grand Theft Auto: The Lost and the Damned. In quick succession after the release of GTA 4, there were 3 downloadable add-on games, each of which had their own stories and settings and set of missions and unique vehicles. While any one of them were fantastic fun in their own right, they suffered from the same issues as previous GTA add-ons, in that while they may be great fun to play, they're still little more than a new way to make money for an old product. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.